Welcome to the Pop-Off with Gene FitzMagic and friends. Your daily sports and entertainment radio show, live all over the world. You're going to want to hear what these guys have to say. With their hot takes, recaps, previews, and predictions, sometimes these guys might get along, but most times, they won't. So see what happens when these guys pop off about the world of sports and entertainment.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is Tuesday, April 25th, and we got a ton of big news, big NFL news, a couple of really good games yesterday. I think some of them kind of took us by surprise. Joining me today is Matt. Dom Lewis will be here in a little bit. He'll be meeting us in a few minutes. He's running a little behind. But so we think we'll talk some NFL first. But how are you doing, my man?
Great. Leafs won last night. We're up 3-1, baby. But can't get too excited. We need to win this next game. Please, God.
What do we think we'll close this out finally? Are you going to be able to close out the Lightning and put the end to the Lightning reign of terror in the NHL?
Yes.
All right.
I called Leafs in 6 before the series. I would like to be wrong. Leafs in 5 sounds very nice. It's got a nice ring to it.
You're almost there. You got one more game left. You know what? You guys are going to do it in 5 games. I know it. I know it. I'm going to, which might be the Maloink. It might be the Maloink, but I think you guys are going to do it in 5 games. Are you guys home with game 5?
Yeah.
You got to do it at home, man.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're looking at maybe possibly game 7.
Crowd's going to be buzzing. It's going to be great.
There you go. But we also have some big news in the NFL as well. Some of the NHL news too. Look, Rangers gave up the two game lead. They lost the 2 at home. So they're tied up with the Devils. Which real quick before we get into the NFL news, what's your take on that series?
On the Rangers Devils?
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed with the Rangers, especially
last 2 games they looked bad.
After they got their Kane didn't look very good. Ooh, hair. Tarasenko didn't look very good.
Kane looked old.
And it seemed like a team that wasn't really meshing. But the first 2 games, they both played great.
Yeah.
The team looked good. And then I like New Jersey. I think New Jersey's great.
They're scrappy. They're scrappy and young.
Yeah, I kind of like them to take the series, to be honest.
Really?
In 7, I like the Devils in 7, but the Rangers have Shesterkin, who can just shut the door anytime he wants.
And he hasn't really been that bad those 2 losses. I don't know if you put them on Shesterkin necessarily. They only gave up 2 goals.
No, definitely not on him.
Offense has got to step it up.
Yeah, and you know what? Like one of my brothers is a huge Rangers fan, so I kind of I see the team through his lens a lot of times, or his tweets. But the Rangers power play is so strange. They got this Mika Zibanejad, who's got an absolute cannon of a shot, a great one-timer, awesome power play guy. They took him off the first power play to put Kane on there, and now they have and they got Fox, Kane, and I think who's the other guy up top? Tarasenko, maybe. And they got 3. They took away the shot, and they got 3 kind of playmakers up high. Doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it.
No, and you know what too is why mess with something that was working to begin with. Even still, I know you're trying to fit in these new pieces, and I guess trying to listen. Kane comes in, he's a future Hall of Famer. Tarasenko comes in, he's already a star. So I get trying to fit them into things, but at the same time, you don't want to take away what's worked for you all year. And Zibanejad has been one of these guys that's been here for the last few years, and he's been solid. I'd say for the last 2 or 3 years, he's been one of our main guys on offense.
Oh, Panarin, of course.
Panarin, and then Kreider too. Kreider's another guy, especially
he's in front of the net. Kreider's great in front of the net, but it's like you got these 3 guys who are more playmakers, and I get it. You want to fit Kane in because he's going to be, like you said, he's a Hall of Famer. You want to get him in, but man, having a big one-timer on the power play is so important. So important.
So, they got 3 games left in the series. Hopefully only 2 games left. Hopefully they can get the next 2 wins out of the way. But it's really disheartening. Like I said, we had Alex Day in on Friday, and he didn't want to say the S word because that's how good the Rangers looked and how bad the Devils looked in those first 2 games. And it's such a 180 because it couldn't have been more opposite from games 1 and 2 to 3 and 4.
Yeah, it was very strange. Very strange.
You know what? I got to be honest. This could go down as a really almost a fireable. I'm not trying to call for a coach's job or a GM's job, but it could almost go down if you blow the series as a fireable offense with the pieces that they added at the trade deadline, and then to be up 2-0 to be as dominant as you were the first 2 games to totally collapse. Someone's got to answer for that, and I don't know really who it would be. I don't know if Gallant's he's been a hell of a coach. I don't know if Head's got to roll for it, but I feel like something's got to change if we get if this series now goes kaput. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he said after the game that like the team was lifeless.
That's what they were, though.
Yeah, which is not a great sign. If a team can't get up in Game 4 at home, up 2-1, like it's not great.
The coach shouldn't have to be responsible for that. Unfortunately, how sports is right now. The coaches go before the players go. So,
well, it's easier to change one coach than it is 5 players.
Gotcha. It looks really gloomy back there, dude. Is it gloomy back there?
It's kind of the sun's coming up a little bit. Oh, sun's coming out a little bit. Yeah.
All right. It looks a little gloomy from the angle I see it at.
It's a little grayish, but the sun is coming out.
Well, let me tell you where the sun is shining. It's shining on New York because the Jets just got their guy. Let's see. Jets Packers agree on Aaron Rodgers trade. What about? I mean, we knew this was happening, so we're not going to spend that much time on this. We all knew this was happening for I'd say probably about 2 months now. It was about a month before his announcement, and then since the announcement, it's been another month. So we knew this was happening. But what was your take on the actual trade, on the pieces that went back and forth?
I thought it was a lot.
I did too. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it at all.
No, I thought they'd come to a decision. Like, there's no market for him. There's no one else who was interested or engaged in trade talks for Rodgers. So there was no leverage. I know the Jets didn't have any leverage either, but I can't even believe that. So it's a pick swap, a second-round pick, and a conditional first, right?
I would have been fine with the pick swap in the first round this year.
Yeah.
The second round this year, get that.
Yeah.
My problem is if he plays 65% of the snaps next year, we give up another first. Which
that's the condition. Oh,
that's the condition. If we 65% of the listen, if we finish 9-8 and we were in playoff contention till the end, they're gonna play him the whole way through. It's one thing if we're 2-6 midway through and all right, it didn't work out. Yeah. And you bench him the rest of the way, and you don't use up those picks. I mean, you don't give them those snaps to get the percentage down, and that way you can have your first round pick the following year. But instead, you set it up where if you're in a little bit of even remotely playoff contention, you're going to play him until the end of the year, and now you're going to basically. Could you imagine the disaster if you finish 9-8, miss the playoffs, and you still give your first round pick next year?
Oh, that's bad. You know what? I don't know how conditions work in the NFL. I know in the NHL when a conditional first can be if your team makes the conference finals or makes the Stanley Cup final, this second round pick turns into a first round pick or whatever.
I don't know that they can't do it in the NFL, but I don't know that they can. I think it's based usually on snaps. I don't know. I know there's in contracts there's if you get to the Super Bowl you get a bonus, or if you get the I don't think they could do that in a trade, because I think the Packers could look at it hey, what if your defense chokes, or what if your place kicker misses the big kick, and so I think for that reason they can't do that. But and the other thing too is, I believe if I heard correctly, they also ate all the money. There was talk that the Packers were going to eat some of the money.
Yeah,
it sounds like they didn't take any of the money back. It sounds like they're basically the Jets paying the whole freight, which I don't know how much.
Is it 50?
It's between 50 and 60. It's it's over 50, under 60. It's in between 50 and 60 million dollars. I think it was 54, I think. But somewhere in that range. That's a huge hit. You're pretty much done shopping. If you didn't want to add anybody, there's talk about maybe DeAndre Hopkins. That I don't see how that even remotely works now. No. So I mean, thank God the team is pretty much set anyway. Now you're just going to fill in with some draft picks. But yeah, I think not. I think eating the 100% of the cost and then still giving up a potential first rounder next year. Means technically, I know you're getting a first rounder back, but you're still giving up 2 first rounders and a second rounder for that price. I would have just loved to go and get the kid from Baltimore at that point.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? Oh man, yeah,
he was so enamored by Rodgers, and I blame the owner for it. It's more the owner, So I don't know. I'm not completely thrilled with the compensation for it.
If he's gonna play, because the team's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good enough that he's gonna play the whole thing.
He's gonna play $59.5 million.
There you go. Fuck. That's a huge hit.
So they got good weapons there. The team's going to be good. They have good defense. And it's just, man, a first and a second and a swap. But if you make it
Oh, listen, if I get a Super Bowl, then I'll gladly pay.
Oh, if it's Super Bowl, it's easy.
If it's the last pick in the first round next year, I'm fine with that.
What about the AFC championship game?
No, I'm not worth it to me. I've been to 2 of those like 10 years ago. That doesn't do it for me. I've been to I think 3 or 4 of those in my lifetime. That doesn't do it for me. I need to see a Super Bowl, and I don't even know if I'd be okay with losing in the Super Bowl. I don't even know if that would be okay. I think I need to win the Super Bowl.
Win the Super Bowl. Okay.
I think I need to win the Super Bowl. You're all right, man. I think you're right.
There.
So let me ask you this though. Where do you think is this the best team in the AFC East?
Yeah, probably right now.
I think they're better than the Bills. I think the Bills have the best quarterback in the division still. I think Josh Allen's still the guy, but I do think the Jets have the better team overall. If you look at that defense, which we all thought was going to be great in Buffalo, was a little suspect last year. Left up some big plays on
Yeah.
The Jet defense was solid. They might have been a game where they gave up like a big play at the end of the game. I think the Detroit game, they gave a big play at the end of the game, but that was a fluky thing that could happen to anybody. But play in, play out, they were the most dominant defense in that division. I think the line will be better next year because I think they'll be healthy. I think they're going to add someone in the draft probably. The receiving core is top notch. Breece Hall coming back, maybe the best running back in the division. I think that's the best team in the division. At that point, and I think if they don't win the division, if they make the playoffs as a wild card, that's a loss right there in itself. I think they need to win the division too. And I think so. I think they're the better team. I think they're the better team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I probably lean just because Buffalo got a little wonky down the stretch here. Sorry, I'm gonna try and fix my lighting situation.
Yeah.
As we're live. I mean, this is the kind of stuff. This is after perfection here on the pop off. Yeah, I mean, everyone was touting the Bills. That did nothing. Absolutely.
You're good, man. Don't worry about it.
Everyone was touting the Bills last year, like they were going to be. And they looked for the first half of the year. They're like, "Oh yeah, cool, Super Bowl favorites." Yeah. And down the stretch, their defense was a little leaky. Josh Allen was a little erratic. And it didn't look – I mean, it's going to come down to those 2 teams, I think, right? Because Miami, who knows? Who
knows with Tua? I mean, Tua could be healthy. Could be not. And that's the thing, too, is – and here's my beef against Buffalo being the team that everyone thinks is so great is their defense gave up, 31 points to their third-string quarterback last year in the playoffs. Yeah. They were lucky to get out of that game. It took some big plays down the stretch to get out of that game. So, therefore, I just can't put them – ahead of the Jets this year. Again, listen, anything can happen, injuries, everything else. Listen, Aaron Rodgers could tear his ACL the second day of practice. Who knows, right? He could have an Achilles injury second day of practice, which would not be unlike the Jets' typical luck. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened because it's happened to us before. But those things can happen. But barring any of those injuries, any of those craziness, I do think they are the best team in the division. Nothing in the not the conference. Not to say,
I mean,
I think pushing could beat some teams, but
I think it's gonna be close between them and Buffalo. And actually, who knows? Miami with 2 is really good.
They are.
But without them, geez, I don't know. The Pats I think are coming in the basement this year.
Yeah, especially on paper. I saw there was an article. I think it was on NBC had an article where they were like on paper, first time in a long time on paper they're the worst team in the division.
Yeah.
Who knows? Last time that was probably pre-Brady that would have happened. So,
I mean, Mac Jones has to be better. He'll be better this year.
He's no choice.
I don't think he's that quarterback he was last year. I mean, I think he got hamstrung by the play calling, but
the coaching.
I think
he'll be better with O'Brien.
Goal limited. I think he will too, because he was pretty good in his rookie year. Maybe not like a franchise build-around quarterback, but solid.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be good, but I mean, I can't see them winning. I can't see the Pats going I see them in the maybe 6 to maybe 9 win range, in there, but coming in last in that division.
I feel you. I get it. Yeah. All right, so let's hit up that next topic. Steve Apostolopoulos. How do you say that?
Apostolopoulos.
Apostolopoulos. Still in contention for the purchase of the Commanders. I gotta be honest. I do not see. I still think it's going to be the other guy.
Bezos?
No, not Bezos. Who is it? Harris, I believe. Harris. The guy
Oh,
from the
right.
76ers.
Yeah.
I think he's a better fit. I think he knows that he's already a sports owner. I still think it's going to be him. I don't even want we're prolonging it. Like, why are we making the? Why does it's been such a chaotic situation with the whole ownership, the Daniel Snyder ownership, and the reign of the Commanders? Can't this go smoothly? Like, we already know Harrison would be a good owner. He's got the money. He wants to do it. Like, why are we prolonging this? Let's just sell it to Harris and let's just be done with this. Move on from the Snyder experiment or the debacle and go from there.
Get this fucking guy out of here, man. Snyder's such a scumbag.
He's just not only is he bad for Washington, he's bad for the league in general.
Yeah,
he's just bad for the league.
If the other owners hate you, that's not a good sign because that's there's probably more scumbag owners too.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a lot of great guys that are owning NFL teams.
They all had to do something dirty to get to where they are in life, and then own that team. So I agree.
If they don't like you, if they want you out of their club, that's not a great sign.
No, not by any stretch. Well, didn't he say something? He had like receipts on some of the other owners.
Yeah.
Like last year,
He tried to
with
Jerry Jones and listen.
Crypt Keeper over there in Dallas.
Whenever, of course, he's got skeletons in the closet. Like that picture came out last year where he was like by the school or with the segregated washrooms or whatever it was. Yeah, of course.
That didn't look good.
No, it didn't look good. But I'm not surprised. Like, there's probably way worse shit in his closet.
Oh, for sure. Listen, up here in New York, we call him the Crypt Keeper. I don't know how much. I don't know how old is Jerry Jones right now. He's got to be like 90 something, right?
I think he's 80s, but he looks like he's especially
110.
The plastic surgery that he's got, and he looks awful.
He looks like Mum-Ra from the Thundercats.
Yeah.
But like not the muscular version, but the little crypt guy.
Yeah, and of course he just can't stop. Like, he's not like the owner who just goes, okay, cool. He's like an owner and basically GM, and sticks his nose in everything.
He even said, he goes, the guy who's like the vice president of like player relations like that. He goes, you make a good GM. He's like, unfortunately, we don't need one because I'm the GM.
Yeah,
quoted saying the other day in the press. So there's that. All right. So what else we got? Giants sign Jerry Jones is 80. Thank you, Patty Puddles. Giants signed Sean Robinson to agree to they agree to a deal. Huge sign. I think this is a huge sign because he's against the run. He's about as dominant as it gets. He would have been a good fit for Dallas. I'm sure. I'm not surprised I'm surprised they weren't looking into. I'm surprised he's a free agent. So I'm surprised he was already picked up. I know the Jets had him in for a talk. I think that's a huge sign for the Giants. I think. Yeah.
Well, I mean, anytime you can get he's a beast. How big is he? He's huge.
He's a run stuffer.
Yeah, and it's what I think it's a 1-year deal up to $8 million.
Mm-hmm.
He's only 28. But he's that's a great move. You need those guys. That's a great move.
Definitely. All right, what else we got? We got Steelers on your first round tackles. Team interested in trading up. I think if they want to get any of these top line tackles, Skoronski, Paris Johnson, they're gonna have to move up. They're too far down the draft to be able to get one of these guys that are worth getting. You want to get a guard, you want to get a center, you can get those guys in the second round. But I think for the most part, you want to be able to get one of these top flight guys, these tackles. You're going to need somewhere in the top 15 at least. I know that if the Jets are going to go tackle, they're probably only going to get the second tackle, which is probably going to put them at Paris Johnson. Again, I want Branch. I want that safety out of Alabama, but I get it going. I get securing that line for Rodgers. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm up to my eyes in NHL playoffs and NBA, so I haven't really been paying attention. But and I see to you on all college football stuff. But do you think Pittsburgh's going to be good next year with Pickett? Or is it going to be like the Mike Tomlin special, or somehow
I think it's the bomb. I think
9 or 10 wins.
I think they're looking at like a 9-10 win season, but where they probably play like they're like a 7-8 win team. but they just seem to they eke out a couple of games because Tomlin's great at doing that. I do think that I don't think they're there yet. I think Pickett's going to be good. I just don't think they're there yet.
Yeah, he looked all right last year. He looked all right, and they're getting rid of because they got a 2nd round pick for what's his face, Claypool. That was a good move. Yeah, I don't know. I'll cede to you. Whatever you think is what I think too.
Well, all right. Well, again, they just picked up their receiver, Allen Robinson, who still has some tread left, I think, and it will be at least a good, calming veteran presence in that locker room. So, there's that. All right, Jets re-signed Connor McGovern. I think this is no noise at all because I think that there's a good chance they're going to probably still draft maybe a center in the 2nd round anyway.
Yeah.
So I think this is more of a depth piece. If they wanted him so bad, they would have re-signed him months ago. I don't know what took so long. I think they're just kind of saying, all right, well, let's bring him in. Yes, it was a depth piece. You know what I mean? So
he's pretty good. He was pretty good last year.
He's solid.
He wasn't spectacular. He was solid though.
But again, I think that you need to up that now. At this point, I think we need to if there was a weak spot on that line, I feel like the center was the weakest spot. Me personally, I thought tackle was tough, but I thought we made do with what we had, and I think we're going to be better next year anyway, just because the health is coming back. So there's that. But yeah, that's what we have for the NFL. So let's take a short commercial break. We come back, we're going to be able to get in those NBA games from last night, and then hopefully by then Dom will also be joining us by then as well. So all right, Patty. Cool.
Craving your favorite theme park treats right from the comfort of your home? Introducing MainStreetTreat.com. We bring your favorite treats right to your doorstep. Visit MainStreetTreat.com today and go ahead, treat yourself.
Happiness is addictive. Passionate about spreading laughter and creating smiles worldwide. Happiness is addictive brings our global community together through humor, optimism, cheer, hopefulness, and merriment. Happiness is addictive. Happiness is addictive.
Guys, looking to book a vacation? Try your fairy tale vacation. Try our buddy Neil Schuchart. You can email him at Neil, Neil, at yourfairytalevacation.com. You can try him on Instagram, Disney Universal Travel Planner, and you can call him on his cell phone, 713-817-5934. His quotes are 100% free. His free travel planning is 100% free. He specializes in Disney World, Disneyland, Orlando, Universal Orlando, Universal Hollywood, Disney Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean, Holland America, Norwegian Cruise Line, and Princess Cruise Line. So if you're looking to book that vacation, make sure you talk to our buddy Neil at Your Fairy Tale Vacation. All right. So still no Dom, but let's get into these games because we had a couple of good ones last night. I know you missed some of it, but I know you were keeping up with them online.
Yeah.
He took a 3-1 lead over the Bucks. Legendary performance by Jimmy Buckets and what do they call him? Playoff Jimmy Buckets. He's got a million nicknames.
Yeah.
It's when the game's the biggest is when he turns it up. What do we think of him though? I mean, do we have a shot? Are we going to see an upset of epic proportions? Man. An 8 seed taking out the 1 seed?
I mean, maybe. Can they? The Bucks are so good. How the hell did they lose this game? And I was telling you, so I was watching the Leafs game, and I was kind of checking online, and it was a close game. I saw Butler had a incredible first quarter, and I was like, wow, okay, well, that's keeping them close. And then near the end, I think it was in the beginning of the fourth quarter, I think the Bucks had the lead, and I was like, oh, okay, everything's back to normal. Bucks are going to win. That's going to be this. Okay, Giannis is back, yada, yada, yada. And then I didn't check until the game was over, and someone and someone like nudged me like, "Hey, the Heat won." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I looked at Bucket or Jimmy's line, and it was like, "Holy shit!" Like no one, like Bam was okay last night. It looks like, but that's about it coming out of that team. You know what I mean? Like Lowry had 6 points. Strus had nothing.
The bench did not do much last night.
Fucking Robinson hit a couple threes, so that's something.
You know what?
Get anything out of him?
Yeah, you know what? He had 20 the game before. You can never really expect him to really be. He's the type of guy who gets you 20 points, and the next thing he gets you 5 points, and the next game he gets you 12 points. The next game he gets you 3 points. He's super. Well,
he was out of the He was basically out of rotation for most of the year.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
And his shooting is like, remember he had his coming out party in the playoffs a couple years ago, and it was like, oh, this kid, I mean, he's not a great defender, but man, he can shoot the lights out. His 3-point shooting is like, poof.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is he had a couple of big games, and I think that put him into this talk where he was a better player than he really is. I don't think he's quite that guy.
Yeah.
As we're finding out.
He signed that deal.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the Heat, now they're kind of stuck with it. But you're right. Like, Adebayo 15-8. You got to be better than that in the playoffs, right? You're Adebayo. And let me ask you a question. All this talk about them getting Kevin Love. Kevin Love has done absolutely nothing for the Heat. Like, I don't even know why he's starting. I'd probably rather start Robinson than Love at this point.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a good option. I mean, it was kind of confusing why Cleveland going into the playoffs would just buy him out if they weren't going to replace him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or sign anybody or sign a buyout guy. It was just like they're just getting rid of him. Like, you don't think this guy could add something? So obviously they didn't think that he could add anything of substance, and they were not concerned about a rival team picking him up. And they look, it looks to be the right move.
He joins us finally. Dom Lewis in the house. What's up, my man?
Boom, boom.
Oh, we got no sound.
You're muted.
He made it, but his voice didn't.
Yeah.
Let's see. Still no sound. These Brits, man. We got a Canadian, an American, and a Brit today. Look at that.
Sounds like the beginning of a joke. But yeah, no, I mean, that doesn't seem like he hit 2 of 5 threes.
Kevin Love. That's all he did was hit the 2 threes. He didn't do anything else. He had 7 boards. But look how efficient Butler was. You know what? 56 points. You always think, oh, well, how many shots did he take? He did it on only 28 shots. Yeah. So he did it only half the amount of shots. 3 for 8 from 3-point range. 9 boards, 2 assists. But I mean, when the only one that hitting, why pass it, right?
I'm just surprised. So looks like Giannis had a pretty good game. Brook Lopez had a huge game.
36 points. What are resurgence by Brook Lopez this year? Really?
He was excellent.
We thought he was done a couple of years ago.
Yeah, anyone could have had him for anything a couple of years ago, and now he's a vital piece of a championship caliber team. Drew Holiday struggled. Oh man, 2 of 11 from 3. That ain't good. Middleton didn't do a lot, but I mean, this team can win 3 straight.
Oh, this series is not over. Yeah, they probably will. They probably will, because you need another game like this from Jimmy.
Yeah.
So, no sound still. You know what, Dom? Come back. You know what? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I can hear you a little bit now.
Oh, okay.
But you're really low.
How about now?
Oh, perfect. He's back, baby.
There you go.
You think I'd know this equipment by now? What a dick. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry, guys.
No, we're good. We finished our football talk, so we didn't have to with
our
football talk.
Good.
But we're getting into basketball now.
Bucks Heat, go.
Bucks Heat. I mean, Jimmy buckets. Wow. Yes. I just overheard what you guys were saying, that they're totally capable of coming back. Whether they will or not, I don't know. I think Jimmy's probably got another one in him, and they only need one. So
yeah, You're right. He only needs one more of these, right? But but if you look how bad the rest of the team has been at times, he could put up like 50, 60 points and still lose. Like, listen, for the game he had, they still just barely squeaked it out. To be fair, right? Like Milwaukee had just as easy a shot, just as much a shot at claiming this game at one point in the fourth quarter as well.
Yeah, I loved his post-game interview. It was so like, I'm not trying to be arrogant, but he was being so arrogant when he was like, I'm not saying I'm one of the best players, but I want people to think of me as that. You know, I just everything went in, but it was like everything was a contradiction of what he was saying. It was quite amusing.
I think. Go ahead.
I always like. He always kind of bugged me a little bit because he had this like, his reputation of himself seemed to be like he'd be yelling at teammates when the whole Minnesota thing happened. And it's like, and then it's like, we got to work. It's like, you haven't been out of the second round. What have you won?
Yeah.
Like, what have you won? But he seems to know how to turn it on in the playoffs. So I'll give him that. As much as it like, I was like misplaced confidence. And it doesn't seem that way. He seems to know that he knows what to do and how to play in the playoffs.
I agree. Listen, at the end of the day, as long as you're in the playoffs and you play like this at money time, I mean, this is what legacies are built on, is being able to play like this in this part of the season. It's all about that. Again, love to see. I love seeing this resurgence of Brook Lopez. 13 of 23, 4 for 7 from 3-point range, 11 boards, 36 points. Loving that, and not that listen, you think if I say Brook Lopez is going to score 36 points and Giannis is going to score 26, think, okay, Bucks are in pretty good shape because right there's like 60 something points. Yeah. And more than half of it's from a guy that you don't expect to score that many points. I think you're thinking you're in pretty good shape.
I would say that's a win. You get 62 points from Lopez and you're like, oh yeah, they won.
That's what I'm saying. And, and listen, Drew needs to step up a little bit. And also, too, like, where's Middleton? Middleton, I get 14 points, but 4 of 12. You need more from Middleton. I mean, you had it a couple earlier in the series. I think you need more than him for them to be able to edge this out. But do we think Milwaukee close? Does Milwaukee make a comeback, or does Miami close this out?
Oh, I think Milwaukee will get one. Definitely get one more. I think Giannis was just kind of blowing some rust off. I think he'll have a monster game next game.
I think so too. I think if he has a monster game next game, they just roll. They win in Miami in the 6 games.
I think they're gonna come back and win the series. Although I'm like I'm hesitant to bet against the Heat because they
defied odds.
A ragtag group of like old and battered pieces that don't work, and they're up 3-1.
And here's the thing: they're not this. If they pull this out, they're not surprising the Knicks in round 2. If they get the Knicks in round 2, they're not surprising the Knicks. The Knicks are going to play hard against them. It almost as a Knicks fan, I kind of want this to happen because I feel like it just makes our road to the Eastern Conference Finals that much easier. And you know what? We played well against Boston this year. We played well against Philly this year. I like my shot going to get up against them too. So you never know what these Knicks could do against the Heat. I agree though. I think Milwaukee pulls out the next game and they just roll. I think they just got to get some momentum. Once they get that momentum, I don't think Miami can stop it at that point. If you look the series, they haven't had momentum at all. The series they won game 2, but they lost their guy for a couple of games. They won game 2, but they lost their guys for a couple of games. I think they've never had momentum in this series yet. I think if they were able to pull out a win at home in in Milwaukee in game 5, that they could start that momentum going. And I don't even think it matters where game 6 is. I think they can still roll in Miami and then bring it home to Milwaukee and close it out.
There's still going to be one game, I feel, where Kyle Lowry comes in and he scores 27 because he hits 7 of 10 threes. And he draws 5 charges and
he's likely to do that because he's done that. So he's done that this season where like he's silent for like about 10 games and out of nowhere has a big game. Very inconsistent.
I mean, he had 6 points yesterday.
Not very good. But he had 30 like earlier in the series. Yeah. So
he's coming off the bench. Is that been he has been for a couple months now. Is that because he's been hurt all year and in and out of the lineup?
I think it's also just he hasn't been as effective.
Yeah, I was wondering.
And Drew Holiday's been like very dynamic. You know, it might be more Drew Holiday than it is than it was him. You know,
what do you mean, Drew Holiday?
Oh, what am I? My bad. Not my bad. I'm
just black out.
I got a stroke.
Yeah.
No, I think it has something to do with the fact that
because is Vincent a better option as Strus? I mean, I guess the thing with Lowry, especially the last couple of years, is like, one, he never looks like he's really in shape, but two, he always looks like he's playing through some sort of injury or about to. You know what I mean?
You know what? Yeah, he just seems old.
Yeah. What was he? 36?
And he's out of shape. I mean, his whole career has never really been like solid. He always reminds me of, he's kind of built like Carmelo Anthony. He was always kind of soft, as good as he was.
Yeah.
But I think he's just old, you know. And to be honest with you, Vincent, I think Vincent's played decent enough where he's been able to fend them off.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's also part of it. I also think when you break down the rest of the team, like Tyler Hero's not here anymore. Tyler Hero took up minutes. I know they don't play the same position, but he took up minutes on the court. Where if you go in with a small lineup, you might have went that way. I think that's partly why Strus has gotten the minutes that he's gotten at this point. But listen, it's not like Lowry's not getting time on the court. Still 24 minutes last game.
Yeah, he's playing.
So, all right, let's get into the next one. Oh, you guys, what are you gonna say?
I was just say world champion Toronto Raptor Kyle Lowry. Love him forever.
Yeah. That.
Yeah, you got that at least, I guess. Yeah.
It's the same thing as like when you say Matt Barnes is a champion. It's like,
yeah. Matt Barnes is a champion. Didn't he also beat up Dirk? Didn't he also beat up Dirk Fisher?
I think he tried to. He drove to his house.
Yeah. Drove to his house. Yeah. There we go. So, all right, Lakers take a 3-1 lead, beating Grizzlies in OT 117-111. This game here, and LeBron, all right, he didn't put up 40 points like everyone thought he was going to do against Dillon Brooks, but he did get 20 boards, 22 points.
20
and 20. First time ever in his career. You would think he would have done that before, but first time ever in his career. But I'll tell you what, who was the stud in this game is D'Angelo Russell down the stretch, hitting 3 straight 3-pointers to take that lead. They were down, I think, with 7 points at one point. I think 97-90, something like that. And then he came. Then D'Angelo Russell caught fire. And then look at Austin Reeves. The whole game was pretty much just on point.
He can bowl.
It's too bad Anthony Davis wasn't available to play for him because he would have been good. Oh wait, he did play.
He barely showed up. But you know what? When
he was big in overtime though. He helped. He really helped win the game in overtime.
He did. But you know what? You need more than 12 points, man. You're supposed to be one of the more dominant centers in the league. He had 31 and 17. He just can't do it back to back, I feel like, lately. He seems healthy enough, right? Healthy-ish. 31-17 2 games ago, but then what was it, 12 and I think how many did he even have double-digit boards? I'm not sure. If Patty could pull it up for us real quick.
He had 11.
He had 11 boards. So all right, so he did have 11 boards, double-double. But that's a pretty weak double-double if you ask me for 42 minutes. 42 minutes, you need to have more than 12 points. I'm sorry. If you're Anthony Davis, you're one of the focal points on offense. Yeah. You know, Austin Reeves, listen, fantastic game, 23 points, but he should not be leading this team in points. At least LeBron was doing other things. Like, he might not have had more, you know, he only had 22 points, but he was doing other things on the court. You know what I mean?
Both these teams,
he was everywhere. He was everywhere.
He was fired up, man. You saw when he got that N1 last night. Yeah. He was fired up.
It was against Brooks too, so there was like extra fire going on there.
Brooks was 1 for 7 from 3-point range last night. He's been ice cold. Points. So he's been ice cold, man.
If you're gonna talk shit like that, you can't come out and score 11 points.
And be as poor shooting as he's been, besides the fact that 11 points. Yeah. If he did 11 points on at least on a solid night shooting, I'd say, okay, well, at least he had a solid night. He didn't take that many looks. He did other things.
And then blame the media, and then be like, "Oh, the media is making me a
villain." Yeah, come on, bro. You punch LeBron in the nuts. You call him old. Yeah, you're being ageist.
That's he's just an asshole. He's been an asshole all fucking season. This is not like new behavior.
No, I think you're right. He's you know, he maybe flies under the radar a little bit, and the reason why is because he's only Dillon Brooks. He's not like a star. So I think more people know who Dillon Brooks is now than they did before he called LeBron old. I think now you do have so many more people know who Dillon Brooks is because of that alone.
Yeah.
So there's that. But D'Angelo Russell, how clutch was he in this game, Tom?
Yeah, he was great. He's been pretty useless other than that little stretch.
But he brought that he brought them right back into it, man. They would look at
No, he did. No, totally. I can't stand him. Ever since that like video with watching Blake Griffin dunk, I just think he's a bit of a knob.
He is.
So I mean, fair play to him. I don't see them going the whole way. I still don't. I can't see it. If they have that much trouble against that Grizzlies team, I can't see them beating the Nuggets or the Suns. I just can't.
That Grizzlies team also shot like 21% from 3.
Yeah.
Yikes.
They were ice cold.
Ja's hand is in a mess. Like he can't shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His hand is fucked up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't like the Lakers, but I hope they prove me wrong. I hope they go the whole way. But I just don't see it. I don't think they're good enough. From watching,
they're old.
I mean, they're old. You know, from watching the Nuggets and watching the Suns do away with my team. But
well, not yet.
No, come on, dude. But yeah, I don't think defensively when they lock in, they look good. But as we were saying, Davis, you cannot trust him. You can't count on him to be consistent. And then he has like one little tumble and he's holding his side going, oh, I'm really hurt. It's like, come on, dude. Just get on with it. You're supposed to be a superstar. And that's your line for the evening? It's not good enough.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, listen, I think he gets too much credit too. I mean, he played good in the bubble that year. But that championship gets an asterisk, doesn't it?
I mean, I'd put one by it, but you know, you just don't know what was going on. I mean, it was obviously mentally really tough in there for everybody.
But it was for everybody. So you can't even say, well, they had a,
I would count that 100% if I was a Laker fan. So
if you were a Laker fan, but take being a Laker fan out of it, you're just an NBA fan.
Yeah. Yeah, count it. It's a championship. They played 60 games in the regular year.
Something like that.
So it's like a
handful in the bubble.
Shortened season.
I wouldn't count that either, though.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I'm counting the Dodgers World Series, so.
Then you have to count the Lakers. I was going to ask who's counting the everything else. So then you have to count it, I guess, because you can't, right? I mean,
no, I mean they deserve it. They deserve it.
So
hang a banner. Hang another fucking banner. I don't care.
Yeah, who cares at this point, right? Who's keeping track? All right. So Hawks, DeJounte Murray suspended for Game 5 on Tuesday today. Did you guys see him bump the ref and have a little choice words for him?
I heard about it. I didn't see it.
It was after the game. They were walking off the court, and he kind of there's no way he did this and didn't think he was going to get suspended or at least spoken to about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so he won't be there for Atlanta. Does it matter?
Nah.
That series is done.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. That series is over. Yeah, Trae Young had some nice moments the other day, but it's done. It's over.
He did, yeah, but yeah, I mean, that's all they got. They have no front court whatsoever. I'm sorry, John Collins needs to put up more than 5 points a game. That he's been horrendous.
He's struggling, man.
He is really struggling, and he's another guy that had a decent season a few years ago, and they tried telling he got a nice contract out of it, and he hasn't really done anything since. He's just another one of those guys.
Did they just get too big for their boots? Did they just think they're the shit and they don't have to try anymore? He definitely strikes me as that kind of guy.
Are you talking about John Collins?
Yeah.
It's kind of like we were talking about with Duncan Robinson. I think,
right.
You have some good games. You string a couple of good games together. Everyone thinks, oh, this is one of the next guys. And I feel like it happens a lot in Miami. You get a lot of these guys that everyone thinks is going to be like remember Hassan Whiteside? Everyone thought he was going to be like one of the next big centers, and he was going to be a really fantastic center. He was good for like a year, and then he kind of fell apart. He just fell off. Who was the guy they got? Was it Nunn? They found that who was a point guard? He was an undrafted point guard a couple of years ago. Had a nice half of the season. Everyone thought he was like the next big thing in Miami, and then even he's nowhere to be found now too. I think it's Nunn. So I feel like Miami happens to find these guys out of nowhere. They have a nice little stretch, and then by the next season you pay them, and then by the next season they're kind of like washed already.
It's Miami lifestyle, man.
Maybe it's
the Miami lifestyle. They just get caught up in it, the big rollers, and then they just sink.
Yeah. So De'Aaron Fox doubtful for Game 5 after fracturing his finger. Do we put a coffin? Is that a nail in the coffin for the Kings?
It's not good.
It's not good.
It's not good.
And now Golden State's got that. They got their mojo working. They got their mojo.
If he doesn't play, it's
lights out, right? I mean, it's Sabonis and who else really at that point? Harrison Barnes isn't going to do it. Who's going to step up? So what's that?
They got Malik Monk, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Monk's so streaky too, and he's old. He's not a kid anymore either.
No, but when a man goes down, like it's so often that the team just rallies and they knuckle down and they get into the other team. So it's not impossible. They don't nick another one. Maybe he comes back. I don't know. But speaking from experience, it's like, I mean, just the Suns' firepower is too much, but
it's way too much. Yeah.
Any other team, like with the performances that the Clippers have had without Kawhi, I think it's the same thing. Like they just like next man up mentality, all those guys. So you never know.
You know who I love on the Warriors, who I think he's a really just not only is he just a great player, he's a great guy too. It's Draymond Green. How do you feel?
He's playing awesome. He played great the other night defensively.
He's tough, man.
He's a great player. He just happens to be a total dick.
He is definitely a total
shithead.
He's a guy. If he's on your team, you love to root for him. If you're not, he's on your team, you love to root against him.
He definitely is one of those guys.
He's Pat Beverly with talent.
Oh, yeah. I would say so. All right, and then we got Ime Udoka to become the Rockets head coach. Obviously, he had the 1 year in Boston, had a great year in Boston, went to the finals, lost in 6. But do we feel like this could carry over to building something nice in Houston? Houston's got some nice young pieces. There's still some players away. Yeah. Can he help bring that? Can he help change that culture?
He did a great job in Boston. That year was kind of wild where they're like, wasn't like Christmas. I think they're like 500 and they looked lost, and then they just kind of flipped the switch, and they all seemed to really love him. I know he got turf because he was fucking.
Yeah, who was it? A Me Too situation, or was it like just a?
No, I think
cheating on his wife. I think was somebody in the organization.
He's married to Neil Long, or he was married to Neil Long. I think they've gotten divorced since.
He shot where he ate.
Yeah. Yes. Not a great look per se.
Yeah.
But
I don't think there was any harassment kind of thing. I think because it was messy, it just didn't look good because he was married and this and that. And from everything I understood and I read about it, that's really what it was.
Yeah.
So poor
not
Neil
the first or the last time, probably.
No, probably not. But you know what?
For him more generally.
Well, I think for him it better be the last time.
But he's in Houston now. Do we think Houston has a nice start to something fresh coming up now?
Not next year, but
is he the guy? Is he the guy that can help turn it around?
Yeah, I mean everyone's after him for a reason. The Raptors were interested in him also.
Nets were as well. Nets had him for. I believe they tried to interview him as well.
Yeah,
went with Jacques Vaughn. I think the things were so messy with Brooklyn. I think they looked at it like he's a good coach, but he's coming from a mess to bring him in here, which is already it wouldn't have boded well. I think they would have liked him as a coach. I think because of everything going on, they needed to stay away from that. You know,
the Nets couldn't save themselves. It was like anybody other. Don't bring this coach in with this baggage. It's going to be headlines and headlines and headlines. When you're already dealing with fucking Flat Earth Irving not playing half the time, vaccine, and Durant request trying to get Nash fired and everyone fired, and then coming back and wanting to trade. Like the fact that he even thought about bringing that coach in is hilarious. How disjointed that front office is.
It was not the spot for it. All right, so what else we got? Lauri Markkanen wins Most Improved Player Award. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Dude, I'll give you some stats real quick. Went from the year before 14.8 points per game to 25.6. First time in his career averaging over 20 points a game. Went from 5.7 rebounds a game to 8.6. Went from 35% three-point shooting to 39% three-point shooting. Went from 44% field goal percentage to a 50% field goal percentage. Was basically all around. Even his defensive game got a little better too. I believe he went up in steals as well. Excited for the Jazz?
Yeah.
Hey, was it a fluke year or is Dom might not be? Is it a fluke year or is he here? Is he finally a developed player?
I think he's here.
Dom?
I mean, sure. Was Brunson already too good?
Yeah, I
just
wasn't
feel like he was the standout. Like, whoa, he went from being like role player to superstar in a season.
Can I give you a little bit of what I think, how I feel about, and this is why I do agree to an extent where he should have been in the running. I don't know how many votes he would have gotten, but it reminds me of, remember when Nash first started with Dallas and then they let him go to Phoenix? It reminds me of the same thing that happened with that, where you have this point guard here and you let him go to another team and he excels with this other team. It reminds me very much of like Nash. Why did they get rid of Nash again? Was it because they had Jason Kidd?
No.
What was the reason they got rid of him back then?
Because he was coming off of playoffs where he was okay, but he was dealing with, I think, hip or whatever, or I think his back injury thing was starting to start, and Cuban didn't want to pay him.
Well, he made the same mistake with this one here. He didn't want to pay. He didn't want to pay the kid Jalen, and he went. And he became. He's like an overnight star in New York now. And I thought he played good. I know people are like, oh, we had Luka, but he stood out in the playoffs when Luka was hurt. He stood out. Like he was still playing well. It's not like he needed Luka on the court to look good. He stood out on his own.
Well, that's why I think they probably didn't put him in the running for most improved,
because
I feel like he's had those games where you're like, whoa, this kid is great.
And to be fair, Markkanen, when he upped his points per game, 11 points per game. 11, added 3 more boards a game. Those are big numbers. Added another 6% to his field goal percentage.
That's a game from Anthony Davis. He added a game from Anthony Davis.
He literally added a game from Anthony Davis. Yes, maybe a little light on the boards, but definitely.
But the improved player sometimes is weird. Like John Morant won it a couple years ago. It was like, what?
Did he really?
Yeah. He was awesome as a rookie.
Honestly, I remember him being good since he's been in the league.
Yeah. And I think it was his second. Was it last year he won it? No, because he's been – anyways. But it's like, okay, so he went from 22 points a game to 27, and he's like – he was awesome as a rookie. So it's kind of weird that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I do know this. I feel like Markkanen definitely deserved to win. He would have gotten.
Yeah, I do too. And
I can't think of anybody else that really would have been most improved. We did say Brook Lopez before had a nice bounce back year. Maybe
he was good last year. He was good last year.
I think he was better this year. No, he wasn't. I was saying he wasn't this good. But Markkanen went from being just another guy to a star on his team, leader of the team. You know what I mean? So to me, that and again, and Jalen did too. Listen, Jalen Brunson did the same. He went from being a guy to a star. Yeah. But I do look at like Markkanen also went to a team that was pretty bare. I think people expected Jalen Brunson to step it up a little bit now with more playing time, being the guy. I don't think they looked at with Lauri Markkanen doing the same thing in Utah. I think he was just part of that trade because they needed to get something back for the kid that they traded away with part of that Donovan Mitchell trade. Was he part of the Donovan Mitchell trade? He was, right? Yeah. So I think that was what it was, All right. Got only a couple more things, guys. So we actually have a shorter show today. We have a couple more things. Adrian Griffin expected to interview for the Raptors job. He's the assistant over there now. Matt, that's your team. What do you think?
Well, the last time we hired an assistant to be our head coach, it worked out pretty well. That was Nick Nurse.
You won a title that first year.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, what other options are there?
There's a few. I know Kevin Ollie has been interviewing some places. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Charles Lee also, because they're both interviewing for the Detroit Piston job.
Yeah. I mean, Griffin has been there since Nick Nurse became the head coach. So he's got 5 years under his belt. I think he's probably earned the chance to coach the team. Was he an assistant when he was there for the championship? Yeah. That was his first year as the assistant.
So, I think he's the guy at this point. He's got the pedigree. He's been there before. He's been there through all that. He knows the players already. He knows how the systems ran. Yeah. So you don't really have to change much up, which might be good or bad, I guess, unless you want to change things up. But I think that's the spot for him. And then Dom, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm always a big fan of assistant coaches becoming coaches. It tends to work out.
I like it better than the retread myself. Like if they failed somewhere else, why would it work here? Is how I kind of feel.
Yeah.
Charles Lee, Kevin Ollie, Jaron Collins to get second interviews with the Pistons. I think Charles Lee is the guy. I think Charles Lee is the guy over there. Kevin Ollie's done well. I know he doesn't coach in the league right now, but you know what? Charles Lee, assistant with the Milwaukee Bucks. Aside from this slide that they're dealing with Miami, I think he might be the best fit. They've obviously won a lot of games in the last few years. I'd love to see it be Charles Lee. I think he deserves a shot too over in Detroit. And Detroit's got a good future too. Cade Cunningham, a couple of nice young players over there. They have the point guard Ivy. So I would love to see what they can do with a new coach in place, putting a new system, new culture.
I agree.
All right, so that's the news. We do have a couple of things, guys. And this is really for Dom.
I know where this is going.
Can the Clips turn the series around?
No.
Now, why not? This is your team. You're supposed to have faith.
Listen. If Kawhi got off the bench and suited up, I would and played through some pain. I would say we definitely have a chance. But
he might. Listen, he's already been ruled out for Game 5 along with Paul George. You got to at least be happy with what you get from Westbrook.
Yeah, but of course, but to no avail. And what is it? It doesn't matter if you're putting up 37 points or whatever he did in the last game, and you lose. Like there's too much going on. Like Chris Paul, I didn't expect to step up in the way he has in fourth quarters. You just if all three are going to go like that in different parts of the game, and Ty Lue's throwing everything at them. And everyone on the Clips is performing to the best of their ability, and you're still losing, then, we just need to be thanked down the line when the Suns are so knackered that they can't get through a whole game because their stars are playing 45 minutes a game. So whoever knocks them out can thank us for that because. I am proud. I'm proud that they put up a fight and they haven't just rolled over. I hope tonight they put up a fight the same. And it's like, we're down 3-1. We don't have Kawhi and PG. Let's just go to fucking Cancun and have a good time. I hope they put up a fight tonight.
What do you expect from Westbrook tonight?
More of the same. If he doesn't have a good shooting night, he'll be annoying everyone, slapping stuff from behind and getting in people's faces and rocking babies if he makes a shot. He'll just be Westbrook. I hope he has an efficient night. We need him to. And if he doesn't, then Norman Powell's really going to have to step up.
He's had the last couple of games, he's been a little off. Norman Powell hasn't really done what
after that 43 or whatever the hell he got.
He's been quiet.
He's had quiet 15s, 20s. So, yeah, I mean, the three ball hasn't gone down for us. I think if the way we've played plus the three ball going, we would definitely steal one. I mean, Batum's been just like awful offensively. I mean, he can defend Durant, but
he's always been a good defender.
Can anyone really defend Durant?
Yeah.
I just think if a few more threes go down. I mean, listen, that game 3 was it game 3? Game 3 when we were really in it, and Bones Highland came down and it went down and then out. I mean, if that goes in, that changes the whole dynamic of the game. And I think there was
a series.
Wasn't it a Kogi 3 down the other end that just put the nail in the coffin? It did like both of those games. I mean, I was texting you during it going, what do we got to do to get a call here? I mean, every single shot, Durant or Booker, it was like nowhere near them and the whistle was going. And yet,
Durant's going to get those calls. Same way. But that's how the refereeing is in the NBA. You know how that is. The stars get the calls. Like if Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are playing in the series, they're going to get calls that might be fan calls too.
Yeah, I really hate that about the NBA.
It is part of it. Jordan used to get them. LeBron gets them. KD gets them. Kawhi would probably get them if he was playing. Now, Mike, another question before we get to turn it to Matt. Do you feel better about Westbrook? Like, did he? I know you weren't a big Westbrook guy before. Do you feel better about Westbrook being part of the team, being that he's got to be the guy? Like he came here, he was supposed to be the third, fourth option. He's been placed into a spot where he's the guy now, and I feel like he's played well since being the guy. He's doing everything he can to will this.
Has there ever been a doubt though? has there ever been a doubt that if he's your one guy, that he can perform like that? I mean, the thing that really surprised me was when he was on the floor with Kawhi. I mean, obviously that first game, he had a really tough shooting night, but defensively, he was amazing, and we ended up coming out with a win. Mm-hmm. Second game, he was more efficient and still being great. Yeah. But I think when you put Westbrook on the floor in the playoffs, and he needs to be the guy, I would bet on him every day of the week. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, it's just like, but he's still doing those stupid things, turning the ball over, like breakaway layups and missing them. Like he still does that because
he's been efficient from the field the last couple of games. He's shot well, and that's always been his MO, is not shooting well. He has shot well the last couple of games.
Right, but he's still Westbrook. Like the last game, we got a steal. I think there was a 6-point game or an 8-point game at that point, and we had a steal and it was a breakaway, and he did a reverse layup right-handed and missed it. Now, I'm not saying it would have changed the outcome of the game, but it definitely puts more pressure on him if you make that bucket. So he's always going to do Westbrook things, both good and bad. And I'm super stoked he's been able to step it up in the playoffs. I'm happy for him that, he's been able to change the narrative. And the fact that he's been able to make it work with the Clippers and the Lakers couldn't make it work, that makes me happy to a certain degree. But we're still going out, so it doesn't really make a difference.
Well, I ask Matt, can the Clippers turn this around?
No, it's done. If Westbrook is your main option, you're not going to win.
Can they pull out?
He's been great. He's been great, but like Dom said, he still does takes ill-advised 3-pointers when he's not a good shooter, but he's still in his head, he's still the guy. But listen, I'll give him props in this. I thought he was toast in the sense that defensively, he's never really engaged. He doesn't really play off the ball well.
No,
he gets caught kind of like trying to go for steals and gets out of position and doesn't rotate. But he's been very committed in this series defensively. And so if that's going to be him moving forward, I think that's a good option for the Clippers to keep going, because you can, when you have guys out, he's able to step up. Like, he's not afraid of the spotlight or to be the big dog. And you need that. But if he can accept his role as a third option or fourth option and be a top 2 option if there's injury, then I think that's a great addition to the team. He's been awesome.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, because he's on a 1-year vet minimum, right? Do you think he's playing for a contract right now?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So that's my problem with it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he's like, oh shit, I'm Westbrook. Everyone's like down. I've got to step it up. Otherwise, I ain't getting paid next year.
But don't you think
it's not necessarily for the team? I think it's for his own contract.
But you know what though? But don't you think that the rest of his career is probably going to be a string of 1-year contracts at this point? He's at that age now where he's probably going to just sign a bunch of 1-year deals for the next few years until he's
totally. But now he doesn't have to sign the minimum, I don't think, because I think he's played well enough in these playoffs for people.
Oh, I agree with that.
Maybe Westbrook can work. Hey, he's
Well, plus he was bought out by LA, so he didn't need to really. He's still getting paid from LA,
That's
obviously,
true.
but he's getting paid from the Lakers, so he didn't need to make a lot of money. He could go somewhere and make the minimum because he's already still making a ton of money from the team, from the previous team.
No, he got bought out not by LA. He got traded by LA. And
that's right. Where did they trade him again?
Utah. And they bought him out.
That's right.
Utah?
Might have been Utah. Or was it Houston?
No, it was Utah.
It was Utah? Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But I think, if any, I just think Tyler is so great. I think he could make he's made it work. Even in the regular season, he would bench him when he wasn't playing well. And, we had the bench to deal with it. So if anyone can make it work, he can. I've been so impressed with just how he's dealt with these insane games from Booker.
Yeah. And
it's been down to the wire pretty much every time. In that last game, it got away from us a little bit. We had some bad shooting in the fourth quarter, but who knows? Who knows if we sneak one tonight? I don't think we will, but
do you think as a Clipper fan, are you done with Kawhi?
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of like, all right, let's get it. How do we get
it? Blow it up. I think blow it up at this point.
He just re-signed though for another. He extended for another couple of years.
Yeah.
like let him load manage, but you got to have someone who hasn't broken his leg and done his shoulders as your number 2, who's also just going to be out all the time as well.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna put your chips in on Kawhi, you got to have someone more stable and young to play with it. And he's got to be okay with that. He's just such a weirdo. He's got to and holds so many of the chips. It's like, how do they make that work? They've got to start putting their foot down and not letting him call the shots so much.
Agreed. All right, so guys, let's talk. Got a couple more topics before we get out of here, and we'll be quick on this. Bulls, what do they need to do to fix that team? What move? If you're the GM in Chicago, what move are you making other than that?
Well,
bring Jordan back.
It all depends. It depends on what's happening with Lonzo, right?
He should be back next year.
That would be. I mean, but at what capacity?
From what I understand, he's supposed to be good to go for next season.
Okay.
Now he's going to be rusty as hell because he missed a year and change, but he's supposed to be good to go for everything I understand for next year. But do you make any other moves? Do you move on from a Levine or a Levine, whatever you want to call him, or do you move on from a
DeRozan?
DeRozan.
Levine and DeRozan is an odd
pairing
mix.
I feel like they're the same player.
Yeah, except Levine's a better 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it just feels a little bit too much like, okay, it's my turn. I'm feeling it. Okay, now it's your turn. Like, it doesn't feel cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They don't seem like complementary players. They're both like very talented. I'd probably take DeRozan over Levine just because Levine, while he's like more scary, insane, athletic, he still gets that thing in him where he's like, I'm going to take 28 shots today.
And hit 3.
And it's like you never – and if he's your high-volume shooter, that never seems to work out. But he's so talented. I don't know.
He kind of reminds me of Westbrook.
Yeah, kind of.
In his athleticism and like a young Westbrook, not great playing with somebody else. Like in that whole thing you're saying, Matt, like, oh, it's my turn now. Oh, no, it's your turn.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit like that.
Yeah.
But DeRozan definitely can be a team player. So I would stick with
DeRozan, and that's the thing. DeRozan's fine. Like, DeRozan can have a game where he takes 12 shots. And he won't care. He won't be in sound bites. He won't be pouting. You know what I mean?
Of course, his daughter's going to be annoying.
Fuck, Jesus Christ, that still annoys me. Yeah, I would move on from Levine and try and get a more complimentary piece back. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And if
you could get something good for him, I think
you'll definitely. I think you definitely get something good for him because he's a player that I think they could have gotten something at the trade deadline. I don't know why they didn't make that move at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Unless people just try to undersell it, because I thought they should have moved on from there. But they didn't. I think you can move that piece for a good piece back that might suit your team a little better at this point. Maybe get a nice big man.
Sorry, who are the free agents this summer? The big guns. Are there any that are worth? Who's coming up for free agency?
There's there's going to be a ton of people that opt out. You always got to figure out who's going to opt. We lost Matt. You always gotta worry about,
I don't care about this conversation. I'm out.
You always got to worry about who's going to opt out. So I'm not really sure who could be opting out this year because it always changes. You know what I mean? Like, but you know how it is. Everybody always opts out. You know what I'm saying? Everybody always opts out because they can always make more money as these contracts, as these television deals go and stuff.
Is LeBron at the end of his deal?
I don't know.
Matt would know.
Matt,
what's up?
Is LeBron at the end of his deal? Does he have an opt out?
No, he just re-upped.
Oh, okay.
So he's got another. I think it's 2 years, but player option after next year.
Okay.
Are there any big guns available this summer, Matt?
Well, that's what I was actually just looking up because, and then I did it on the wrong browser and left you guys. Middleton, Kyrie, Harden, Westbrook, Kristaps, D'Angelo Russell, Kevin Love, Draymond Green, Fred Van Vliet. That's probably it. Brooke Lopez.
So it's basically who's going to be crazy enough to take on Kyrie. It's going to be the narrative this summer.
But the Bulls don't even need him because if Lonzo's healthy, they don't need a Kyrie. You know,
nobody needs a Kyrie.
You know who would be a good fit for the Bulls? Kristaps. He'd be a good fit for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's another hurt bag, though.
Yeah. He's really douchey.
I feel like they need a more traditional big at the Bulls if Lonzo's coming back.
I don't think they got it. There's really nobody out there, I don't think.
No, I know. I'm just
Lopez?
saying.
Well, he also
but
he's.
I mean, you're waiting for the wheel to fall off on Lopez. Like, I wouldn't want to like maybe you get him for like a 1 or 2 year deal, but like he's not young, and like what he's doing right now, I feel like is such an anomaly. Like we're surprised that they had a nice bounce back year this year. How long can he maintain that for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I go there.
That's not a great free agency.
No.
To be excited about. It's like
there's a lot of question marks. Oh, everyone. Westbrook, Harden.
And a lot of guys got to opt out. They're not necessarily even free agents. Some of them got to opt out, I believe.
Well, yeah, these are the UFAs, also the players that have player options to be a free agent.
Options. Yeah. Right. Which, like I said, most people usually take up the offer on those player options because they're going to make a little more money because of TV deals.
Does Kyrie go to the Lakers?
I mean, they're pushing hard for him. Well, LeBron was.
LeBron was, and he would be a fit there.
Life without LeBron has been a little different than what Kyrie expected, I think.
I think so. I think Kyrie expected to be the man wherever he went, and it hasn't really worked out for him. But could he have learned from that lesson and now end up over there? I mean,
no. Look, Kyrie hasn't learned from any lesson.
But I mean, from the lesson of that he doesn't need LeBron.
Oh, I mean,
like if he goes there, that's a solid addition for an already good Laker team.
It's gonna be 39-year-old LeBron. So it's not going to be the same LeBron, but
LeBron's still going to be LeBron, though.
It's just nuts how durable that man is.
Yeah.
Like, I know he's got the oxygen tanks and this and the cryo chambers and all the stuff. He spends millions and millions on his health, but it's paying off, man. He's those last minutes last night. It was like old LeBron driving.
It was vintage last night.
Like, I was just thinking in my head, there's not like. Skip Bayless is not saying anything because he's always saying LeBron's the greatest driver to the hoop of all. Like he's got to just drive to the hoop at the end of games, and he did exactly that, and he won the game.
Yeah.
Who knew we had to listen to Skip Bayless?
Okay. And
he's always a Clipper. Like he's a Clipper champion normally, and so I'm like, oh, do I listen to Skip? But no, I'm more of a Shannon guy.
God, he sucks. I can't stand it.
What Shannon Sharp?
No, Skip Bayless.
No, Skip Bayless.
Yeah,
Skip Bayless is.
Although I did love the Dylan Brooks, Shannon Sharp, that whole thing that went down, and then LeBron, when asked about it after, was like, "That's my guy. I always back up my guy." And then a year before, he was like, "Fans shouldn't be interacting with the players. You should kick them out." So I love LeBron flip flopping so quickly on because it was his dude.
Like you got to defend your guys, right? You got to defend your guys. So then, all right. So, and what else? What do we think about Oklahoma City, man? What do they need to do to improve that team? They already have one of the best young players in the league right now. I think a future star.
They also have 300 draft picks.
They do. They do. Now, do you package a bunch of those and go grab somebody?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what. Maybe they can go get a Levine. He'd be a good fit there. He wouldn't bump heads with shot. You don't think he'd be able to fit there?
Well, I think you're going to run into the same problem that you have in Chicago.
Shot's a different player though than DeRozan.
Yeah, true.
I don't think you have as big of an issue with. I mean, Levine's the type of player he's going to have issues fitting in a lot of places because you said he's a volume shooter. He's going to shoot 30 times a game. So I think that makes it hard for him to fit in a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So where does he go otherwise? I think Oklahoma City would. I think it needs to fit for Oklahoma City. I think they need to. And also, we also don't know what Chet Holmgren's going to be next year. Is he going to be anything to? Is he going to be good next year?
Yeah. Well, they also they need a big. They're so small.
They'll have Chet, but he's also paper thin.
Yeah, and Josh Giddey was playing center sometimes. And he's he's a big boy for a shooting guard, but that's not the option you want. So they need a big, definitely.
Who's in line? I mean, it's the lottery, right? For the first draft pick, for the first pick of the draft.
Yeah, I don't know,
Rockets and who is at the bottom? Rockets, Magic.
Rockets, Magic, Detroit. Who else? I think Rockets, Magic, Detroit are the bottom.
Because then it just come out that what's his name? The Beast, the 7'3"
from France.
Yeah, is gonna go number one.
Yeah, he's gonna be the number one guy.
So the OKC has a first and 2 seconds this year. Next year they have 4 firsts and a second.
4 firsts.
2025 they have 4 firsts and 3 seconds.
Jeez.
2026 they have 3 firsts and 2 seconds. And
they can't even field all those players.
No, 2027 they have 2 firsts and a second.
If they keep all those picks, they don't have enough room on their roster.
No, so
even if they get rid of the whole roster and just use those picks, that's still too many.
That's why they're prime. Like, you gotta package and get somebody. I don't know who,
or even move up into the
they have so many options. It's a good time to be a OKC Thunder fan if there are any out there.
Well, who do you go after? Who's out there?
Oh fuck! I mean, I don't know, man. All I can think about is Game 5 Maple Leafs. Yeah, I don't know. Good question. Like a big
Kristaps might be a decent fit over there as well. But why Chet gets his weight up?
Yeah, I just wouldn't. I feel like that's gonna sour the milk.
Kristaps has never been a good guy wherever he's gone. He's kind of worn out his welcome every step. And that was weird because we came to the Knicks. We thought he was going to be like this good locker room guy. Everyone thought he was a good kid. And then that kind of was short-lived. His problem is his family gets involved too much. His brother's supposedly kind of like a nightmare to deal with. And at least with the Knicks. So I feel like that might have been part of it too. But he's on his 3rd team now, right?
Yeah.
I believe
weirdly, I think as he gets older, he'll gain more value as being like the 3rd string, bringing like not being the star, if you will. Or
I
one
agree.
of them. Just being that like 3rd or 4th string guy that can really make your.
If he's your 2nd or 3rd option, you're in a solid spot.
Yeah.
So.
But I wouldn't put him with SGA. I think he needs some.
So what do you put with SGA to take that next step, or do you not even add anybody? You just draft some players now.
I mean, I was gonna say when you were reading out all those draft picks, maybe just hang on and just like
if you like the
young
picks or like
guys around him.
Cool. Yeah.
Can you imagine the infusion bringing 4 top picks next year? You'll have 4 of the top 30 guys in college.
Yeah.
Right.
The problem is that the NBA, like the first round is always more so than the NHL and the NFL.
Yeah.
Like the NFL, those guys are going to play right away, most likely. The NHL is a pretty high hit rate of players, maybe not right away, but within a couple of years. But the NBA sometimes it's just like you could go 10 for 30 on like players who become effective NBA players.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tricky.
Definitely tricky. But all right, guys, that's gonna do it for today's show, man. We're gonna do a little abbreviated one because there wasn't that much going on in sports today. So let's go around the horn real quick with last words, man. Matt, what's your last words?
What is the last word? Big win by the Leafs last night, so I'm feeling good. I had a couple days to stress before we try and close out in Game 5, but I'll see you on Thursday before then. Other than that, man, enjoy the Tuesday. Get out there, enjoy yourself.
Dom, last words of the day.
Last words of the day. Rest in peace, Harry Belafonte.
Yes, rest in peace.
Oh, yeah.
Lost a great man today.
Yes.
I mean, 96, he had a great knock, but it's always sad when you lose a giant. And get outside if you can. If it's not pissing with rain, be good, be safe, enjoy the day.
There you go. And so for Dom, Matt, I am Gene. Have a great day, a better tonight, and we will see you tomorrow.
That's the pop off for today, folks. Thank you to all of our listeners, as well as our producers, Patty Puddles and Fareed Kameo. And make sure you tune in tomorrow to hear what these hooligans will pop off about next.